that when I was talking about your first priorities when you go to office, and that would be, what would be your first piece of your signature piece of legislation, the very first thing that you did in introducing legislation, taking that physical step in the House?
Okay, well, for me, this question has come up before. The bill that I try to get passed to help active duty military voters, about 100,000 active military voters attempt to vote by absentee every year, or every election cycle in the state of Texas. Unfortunately, where civilians have a 75% success rate, active duty military has a 75% failure rate because it's so hard to get it. It takes too long. The system, unfortunately, I don't think by design, but by default, is rigged against our men and women in uniform who are literally risking their lives fighting our freedom and the right to vote. You can't get a ballot sent over to Iraq, mail. The request has to be requested, received, and returned in the amount of time that's required by Texas law. We have a pilot program that's in effect here in National Defense Committee helped construct this legislation here in Collin County, 22 counties in the state. I was trying to take it statewide in the last legislative session when the Democrats killed voter ID. They also killed that bill. Frank Court is actually retiring, so I'm out of the state rep, although Mabrie said she'll back me up if I don't make it. But if I make it, that will be the first piece of legislation. She did say that. I'm definitely going to hold her to it. So that will be the first piece of legislation that I would introduce. But let me say this. The single biggest fight for the 82nd legislature will be unquestionably balancing the budget without raising taxes. I'm totally committed to that. The second that the legislature just lets out a whimper that they're thinking about raising taxes, forget it, government's going to get bigger, taxes are going to go up, and I'm totally against that.
Okay, Jackson, first piece of legislation you would introduce?
So the first piece of legislation that's going to get passed is the budget, because that's what we have to do first, and we have to do it without taxes. The second piece is going to be voter ID, because it did fail in the last legislature, and everybody down there who is a hardcore Republican wants this done, and I think it'll get done very quickly. As far as my personal goals, anything around Child Protective Services, because I have served in that capacity, anything to go help these workers who are having to deal with these horrible, horrible situations day in and day out, making $30,000 a year, that stuff has got to be fixed. That's one thing, and then water is a topic that's very near and dear to my heart. I want to make sure that we have the plans in place to make sure that we can turn on our faucets, or our children and our grandchildren can turn on their faucets 50 years from now and have water come out of it.
First turn, last question. That'll be you in this case,
Okay.
Jess.